Second round of the White Springs Winter League. Drawn peg 41. It's quite a cold day today, really hard frost last night. It's not the best of pegs, but it's always worth a few fish up a bank. So peg 2 opposite has been a good peg lately. So I'm hoping a few fish will push over from there. Now, knowing peg 41 like I do, I know that there's always a few fish on that bottom bank. So I started off dobbing 2 maggots about a foot off bottom to see if I could get a few indications or any signs of fish. So after a little time, maybe 45-50 minutes, I had my first proper bite down that edge and hooked into what I thought was a real big fish. It was really pulling hard to try and get under those undercuts. As I've said before in various other posts, these banks of White Springs down the edge and against the island are undercut quite a long way, and they're full of roots and places to snag you up in. Now, I use a short kit with a 13 hollow in, and I find that extra short bit of elastic gives you that extra bit of power and allows you to pull them away from these snags, which is really needed with these big fish. They're 4 to 12 pound normally, and they really do pull some in this shallow clear water. So I pulled hard against it to try and get out of these undercuts. It was really trying to get in there. I managed to get it away, got it to my top kit, and as I was getting back to my top kit, I really thought that you know, this first fish was going to be in the bag and a good start of the day. I got it to the top kit, and as happens in fishing sometimes, this fish didn't want to give up. It was a big fish. Took one last gasp trying to run between the island and the aerator, and lo and behold, he took his chance and he got going towards that gap in the aerator and the island. I couldn't get sections on quick enough, and lo and behold, that first fish was gone. Broke over 15 hook length, and my good start was ruined. Gutted. Now, after another half hour, 40 minutes fishing that bottom bank, I did have a lot of indications, but no real positive bites. I tried shallowing up to sort of 2 foot. I went back down to almost full depth. Didn't really happen. So I swung around onto my island swim to my left, where I fed a little bit of crushed expander and about 6 live maggots. Now, 10 to 15 minutes after going on this swim, I probably left it for about an hour and a half. But 10 or 15 minutes after actually dropping on this swim, I had an indication and missed a bite. So I knew there was a few fish there. So I'd come back, went back out, was patient over the top of it, and about 5 to 7 minutes later, I had a positive bite and hooked a fish. Now, like I said with the other fish, you had to pull hard to try and get them away from the snags. So I got it away from the island, and at this point, a few people have been shouting down the lake saying that the lake is fishing really hard and that 1 or 2 fish was doing really well. It was an odd person with 4 fish, but 1 or 2 fish was doing really well in the section. So an hour and 40 minutes in, I knew that this fish was vital and I had to get it in just to get me off the mark and get me back in the race. So I took my time, kept it away from the snags, made sure that I get it in a net, and this was a really good fish to start on. It's about 4 pound and a really good fish to sort of get me off the mark. I was hoping that a few of these fish would start feeding on this line when I'm feeding a bit of maggot and a bit of crushed expander. Now, after that fish, quite quickly on that line against the island that I fed, I'd give it another sort of 10-15 minutes and nothing really happened. So I re-fed that line, left it sort of 15 minutes, went back on it, and within 5 to 6 minutes again of going back on it, I had a real positive bite and hooked another fish. Now, this is the second one I've hooked in the match, and we're probably halfway through at this stage. So it's fishing really hard. I can't get no positive bites anywhere. And the only way I can seem to get any bites is to feed a little bit of bait on this line, leave it alone, let the fish settle over it, and then just go and pop in there, catch a quick fish, and then do the same again. So that was sort of giving me a bit of a plan, really. I knew they was fishing hard. I knew that 5 to 7 fish would probably give me good points. Now, this was my second fish, and I thought, there's another half of the match left. Let's just keep feeding this line, nipping in there, catching a fish, going elsewhere, see if I can get a bite anywhere else in my swim, and then just do the same again, sort of repeat the process. So this was another fish that was about 2 to 4 pound, so they're good weight builders, and at this stage I felt like the second half of the match could go really well. I just needed a few extra fish from somewhere else in my swim, really. So I foul up this one in the tail. I fed a little bit of crushed expander and about 6 live maggots down past the platform next to an undercut, and I thought there might have been a few fish sort of under that undercut. I wasn't getting any bites when I was daubing there, but I thought if I feed a little bit of bait, perhaps one will come out. It's getting on in the match as well. It's getting on to the time where fish want to feed. So I fed a little bit of crushed expander and about 6 live maggots. Left it about half hour, went on it, and within 10 minutes going on it, I've had a proper wallop on the bite, unmissable bite, whacked into it. Fish have started going under the undercut. I pulled and pulled and pulled, got it out from the undercut, and when I got into open water, it just didn't feel right. I got it back to the top kit, thought I was gonna get it first time. Didn't get it first time. It's gone off again. It's gone back down to the pallet and back under the undercut. It was that far under the undercut this time that I couldn't even see my rig. All I could see was elastic underneath there. So God knows how far under that undercut goes. But I could feel it under there, grating on stuff. I thought, this is it. It's just the hook length's just going to go and I'm going to lose this. So I put an extra couple of sections on to about 13 metres. To try and put a bit of an angle on it, to try and pull it from this undercut. So I pulled and pulled and pulled. I can see the elastic sort of coming back, but every time I got it sort of in a position where I felt like the rig was going to come out, the fish would kick and go back in. So I just kept the pressure on it as long as I could to try and get this fish away from this undercut. It was around a root or around a branch or something, because I could feel the fish grating against something. But I kept pulling, kept steady pressure on it, hoping that it'll just work its way out and that the hook length wouldn't snap before I had a chance to get it out. So I kept this pressure on the fish, hoping it would definitely come out. And then if I could get it in front of me, if I could, because the water's so clear, if I could get a bit of a scoop at it, perhaps I'd be able to net it underneath the water without putting enough pressure on it to get the tail out. So eventually I gained a bit on this fish, and I could see the sort of rig coming out from the undercut. Every time I got it out from the undercut, it went back in. But the one time I put a good bit of pressure on it towards the island, it come out, and it come out into open water again. And I thought, this is it. I got this fish. And the fish felt like it was not fighting as hard. I think it was getting tired. So I managed to get it out from the undercut, back down the middle of the canal, slowly started shipping it back, sort of to get it into netting range. And once I got into netting range, because it was hooked in the tail, it was very, very hard to get it up high enough to get a scoop at it. So what I've had to do was I've had to keep my top kit really, really low to the water, pull quite a bit out of the puller bung, and just keep it low and low and low to the water until I could see the fish under the water because of how clear it was, and then have a scoop at it. And this is what I had to try and do. So as you can see in the video now, I got it to a top kit. I'm keeping the top kit really low. I'm pulling a lot out of the puller bung, try and keep pressure on it. Now it gets closer and closer to you, but you need to get it up high enough to try and have a scoop at it. This is really hard. I've done this loads of times with foul hooked fish, and sometimes you get a chance of scooping them, and other times the hook just pulls out. It all depends on how good of a hook hold you've got in that fish. Lucky enough for me, this was a good hook hold. It was in the tail. It was well and truly in. The old 16 GPM B was never ever gonna let me down. It was proper in there, and with this strong gear, I was able to pull hard on it and get my chance of scooping it. And once I got that chance, that fish was mine. So he's into the last sort of half hour of the match now, and I've gone everywhere and not had many bites other than the 4 fish I've had, and the one of them was foul hooked. So I dropped back in on the island swim, fed it again with a little bit of crust expander and some live maggots, dropped in on it with half hour to go, and the float's buried first chuck, and I've had a nice sort of size carp on. I thought maybe this last half hour now they'll switch on, but it wasn't to be. This was my last fish number 5, and It was my last fish to end the day on. As it happened, I've had 5 fish. I don't think it was quite going to be enough. Other people have had 5, maybe 6 fish on the lake, but some of them have had 3 or 4 fish, but they've been a lot bigger than mine. So we just got in from White Springs Winter League on the round 2 on the new canal. I drew peg 41, which I didn't really fancy. I'm on a bit of a stinker at the moment with draws, but it's an end peg, so there's always a few fish knocking about. It's just whether you can catch enough or big enough fish to sort of compete with the other pegs. The way it went today was I've ended up with 5 fish for 20, almost £26, 25.14. To be fair, I only needed 2 more fish, and I would have been right up there, sort of 5th in the section. Do you mean? But I've lost 2, and I've had quite a lot of indications where I couldn't catch anything. So at times there was fish in my swim, but you just couldn't get bites off them. Now whether that's due to the bank being so undercut, and them not sort of facing the way of the rig, sort of facing into the bank, I'm not sure. But certainly at times there was fish in my swim and I couldn't get them on the hook. So, but it don't always go to plan, and you've got to sort of take the rough with the smooth at this time of year. So hopefully I'll have a better sort of draw next round. I'm on the new canal again, that's my rotation. So hopefully I'll have a better draw next time and maybe winkle out a few points, because I was 9th today with 5 fish for £25.14. So it's not really a great one, and I think that's my dropper for the league now. So I got 4 more matches left to go. I can't afford to slip up now. So we'll have another go and we'll see what happens.